Thank you so much for staying with us. In a few days, President Bola Tinubu will be celebrating his first anniversary as the 16th president of Nigeria. For some Nigerians, it is a milestone that evokes serious reflections, given the electoral promises of every occupant of that office and the country's existential challenges that needs to be tackled. With an 80-page policy document that highlights an 8-point agenda, top of on his priority list of action plans was national security, economy, agriculture, power, oil and gas, transportation, and education. Tonight, let's focus on the impact on economy in the last 1 year. Joining me for this discussion is a friend of the House, Dr. Muda Yusuf, CEO, Center for the Promotion of Private Enterprise. Dr. Yusuf, good evening to you, sir. Thank you for
good evening, Jumoke. Yeah,
and welcome to Politics Tonight.
Thank you.
So 1 year ago, the president assured Nigerians that his administration will ensure they get value for every kobo spent and that his government will leave a lasting legacy for prosperity to future generations, while removing the yoke of poor governance and expanding access to qualitative public goods. Is the president on the right track to fulfilling these promises?
Yes, I believe the president is on the right track. But in doing an assessment of the 1 year, you have to put it in context, because there's a strong contextual factor in the assessment. I say this because we need to look at the circumstances under which he came in terms of the state of the economy, the state of our finances. I'm talking about the fiscal operations of government, the foreign exchange environment, the situation with our oil and gas sector, particularly in terms of oil output and insecurity in those areas. If you look at that context, you will appreciate the fact that there was a need to correct a lot of fundamental things. So I will say for the first half of this 1 year, the administration was busy trying to fix those fundamentals. Because you cannot build something on nothing.
Absolutely.
If you have a very weak foundation, if you continue to build on it, it will eventually collapse and everything will be lost. Now, if you take the fiscal space, for instance, as at the time the administration came in, the central bank was practically financing government operations because the fiscal space was extremely very tight. Many of the state governments were struggling to pay salaries and to pay pensions and all of that. The ways I meant financing, which we call financing of government operations by the CBN, rose to an all-time high of close to 30 trillion naira. And that kind of financing had its own implications for the macroeconomic environment, both for inflation, for deficits, for exchange rate, and so on and so forth. So that was a major issue, the state of finance.
That needs to be checked.
That needs to be dealt with fundamentally. Then we had the challenge with our foreign exchange environment. The foreign exchange environment is very critical to the economy because it is critical to trade. They are talking about trade around equipment, around raw materials, around finished goods. It's extremely very critical. It was also in a very bad shape because we saw a situation where the reserves were massively depleted. Although these issues did not immediately manifest until there was an audit of the Central Bank of Nigeria. We now saw how weak the system was. We saw a lot of forward commitments on our foreign reserves. We saw a lot of exchange, forward through the banks and all of that. So there were a whole lot of issues around the foreign exchange. There were also issues around even the opacity or transparency of the foreign exchange market. There's a lot of transparency issues. We were having issues with our international trade commitments. I'm talking of letters of credit, which many correspondent banks were no longer honoring. We had a huge backlog of mature obligations with the CBN for the first 6 months or more was trying to clear. I'm saying all of this for us to understand the context in which the administration took off. So all of these things were a lot of drag on the administration.
So before we